Hello, everyone. We'll give everyone just a moment to come on in. While you're coming in, we'd love to see in the chat where everyone's joining us from. Thanks, Courtney. Hi, Cody. Nancy, not too far away. I'm in Charlottesville. Chesapeake, we were just talking about how horribly hot it's been in Virginia. Hopefully some of you are experiencing slightly better weather. I'll start in just a minute. Glad to see so many people joining us. All right, wonderful. Well, as you come in, I'm going to just kick things off and I'll pass it to our experts in just a moment. We are so glad that you're joining us for today's session, Family Partnerships for Positive Child Behavior. I'm Liz, I'm with Teachstone, and certainly anyone that knows Teachstone knows we believe that strong, consistent interactions, both in the classroom and at home, are key to helping children thrive. And we know how important the role educators play is in not only supporting children, but also in building those meaningful collaborative relationships with families. And so in today's session, we'll learn all about how we can strengthen that homeschool connection to better support children's emotional regulation, their focus, their behavior. And we are confident you will come away with some practical strategies, some good questions, and some fantastic resources to explore and to use in your work. And so very quickly, we'll go through just some quick housekeeping, and then I'll kick it off to our wonderful team of 3 who are joining us from the University of Virginia's Center for Advanced Study of Teaching and Learning. And then if we have any time at the end, we'll come back together for a quick Q&A. And so as you're listening, if you have any questions, please use that chat box or the Q&A box, and I will keep an eye on those for the end. We are recording, and so you will get a recording of this if you have to drop off early. No need to take notes, no need to remember everything they say. We'll send out a recording. We will also, in that email, send a link that will have the slides and any resources that are mentioned. And like I said, I will be keeping an eye both on the chat box and that Q&A. And so please use them both. And that is it. So we can kick it off. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pass it on to Caitlin.
Thank you, Liz. And thank you so much to the whole Teachstone team for having us today. Hello to everybody on the line. I am Caitlin Ellis, and I'm here with my fabulous colleague, friends, Kate Matthew and Tara Powell. And we are just so excited to be spending some time with you this afternoon talking about supporting positive behavior through family partnerships. And I do believe we are just going to jump right in. So I'm going to kick it over to Tara Powell to start us off.
Thank you, Caitlin, and welcome everyone. I'm glad to be here with you. We'll start off today by discussing the impact of the homeschool connection to help young children develop skills to support positive behaviors. We'll also explore resources designed to promote regulation in young children and understand key classroom and take-home strategies. Then we'll navigate the ECE Resource Hub effectively to examine resources, strategies, and professional development supports. This is a topic that we all know too well. And even just based on the number of people who are in attendance today, we all know that challenging behavior can be overwhelming depending on the year, the children in your classroom, your personal capacity, ratios, staff turnover, the support you receive, and so much more. The fact is that children are not going to be learning how to read or to engage in higher order thinking if they're not able to work through emotions, manage behaviors, and pay attention. Children need these skills to actively engage in social and learning opportunities. So the thought is, and we know you all know this very well, that behavior is communication for little ones, the way they tell us what their needs are. And they're not going to be able to sit down and have a really big conversation with you and tell you how they're feeling and what's going on inside. Sometimes their behavior is what communicates that. And young children can't and shouldn't be expected to regulate their own behavior completely on their own right, from the start. They need our help. And it takes direct and explicit support and instruction to help children slowly learn to regulate more and more independently. And so in the classroom, educators in infant, toddler, and preschool classrooms serve as those co-regulators to guide children through the process of learning to regulate on their own. And as you probably have guessed, it's all about our interactions to support their co-regulation journey.
It absolutely is. And when educators then partner up with families as co-regulators, we know that that's where the true magic happens. And collaboration just ensures a consistency across environments that really helps children know what to expect no matter where they are or what they're doing or who they are with. And so we're going to take some time to dig into this deeper, of course. But before we do, I was just going to share a very quick personal story. Because as you can see, that is me in the photo on this slide with my 5-year-old son named Wade and his amazing educator. And Wade and I live in Virginia Beach. And as you can see in this photo, he is a sweet, sweet angel. He is super fun and loving and happy and articulate, and just such a fun little guy. And he's been attending preschool at an amazing school that has a fabulous and dedicated staff, a great curriculum. But despite all of the elements that really could set him up for success, he had been struggling. And so last spring, I was at a conference in Virginia. I think it was right before we joined Interact. And I got a phone call while I was at the conference booth. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go step outside. What is the school calling me for? So I stepped outside, and the school had told me that Wade was very, very upset. And in turn, he was lashing out physically at teachers and at children in the classroom. He was destroying the physical space. He was flipping furniture. He was throwing hardcover books all around, knocking over shelves. And I always say that the worst offense was that he was dumping snack plates of Cheerios all over the rug and stomping on them. And I just pictured the pieces and parts of Cheerios deeply ingrained in the rug. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? He was going through some changes with his family. I'm a single mom, and his dad relocated out of town, and Wade was just feeling all sorts of big emotions about change and life and instability, and rightfully so. And he was just kind of old enough to really understand and feel that impact. But at 4 years old, he had not really learned how to yet handle those emotions. So the day that I received the phone call wasn't just a bad random day. It was ongoing really for months at that point. And I was personally desperate to figure out how to help him, and in turn help his educators, and school staff were really having a hard time supporting him through this behavior and handling this destructive behavior at least a few times a week. So I was terrified to get a phone call every single day, and I was working and trying to get through the workday and anxious and upset all the time. And it just felt like nothing was working. So after months of more reactive, like cleaning up the Cheerios, trying to talk him through the incidents, we just really that we realized that we really needed to get off of the defense and start thinking on the offense and really start supporting Wade proactively in teaching skills to help regulate in the classroom and at home in partnership between myself as his family, other family members, his educators, and his administrators. So as we wrap up today, I will circle back on Wade and share a little bit about his progress over the last year or so. But I am first going to pass it to my colleague, Kate, to talk a little bit about engaging families as true partners in supporting regulation.
Thank you, Caitlin and Tara and Wade. I love me some Wade. And thank you to everyone for being here. So the basis for collaboration with families to support their child and their positive behavior it's all about relationships. It's building and maintaining a positive and trusting relationship with those families. When that mutual trust and respect is there, it's the foundation that will let us navigate more challenging times. Because everyone knows we have like a shared commitment to doing right by this child. And when children see that we're connected to and have a positive relationship with their caregivers, it helps them to see us as a partner and a resource so that they can lean on during challenging moments or when they're feeling those big feelings and feeling their feels. Their parents trust us, it helps them trust us. Every mother and father and grandparent or caregiver deserves to feel confident and safe that they're handing their child to someone who genuinely cares about their child and will work with them to make sure that they thrive. And it'll look different for every family, teacher, or program, but let's cover 3 steps for establishing these meaningful partnerships or relationships with families. All right, so the first step to laying this trusted foundation is creating a welcoming and inclusive environment. So we get to know families. We genuinely and openly get to know them as much as we can. We can try to get to know their background, their values, their culture, their concerns, their strengths, their preferences, to help them feel like a welcome part of our classroom community. We can do this through things like surveys or visits or notes or events or ongoing conversations or invitations to share their traditions or their favorite things. All while being really open and respectful about what families choose to share or not to share. And from there, it's all about interactions. Interactions would be a focus at a Teachstone spot. But these moment-to-moment, day-to-day interactions matter in relationship building. We can do this by greeting families warmly when they arrive, just kind of socially or casually asking how their weekend was or something fun that's happening in their lives, or share positive stories about their child. And if they reach out with a concern, we truly listen and be responsive. And if we're too busy in that moment when they reach out, which would make sense, you have a room full of kids, that might be the case. But we'll let them know that we'll reach out later and be sure to follow up. And if we need to discuss something challenging, we can try to not spring it on them at the end of a long day with other people around seeing it, and instead ask them to choose a time and a location to discuss in private. And in some programs, just acknowledging that you may not get a chance to see caregivers every day. One of the classrooms I was in, the kids were bussed in and bussed out. So there wasn't as much opportunity for those like small casual interactions. And so we really had to make the most out of the interactions that we did have with them. I think as much as your program allows, you'll invite families to engage in the classroom. We want to make them feel welcome to volunteer or to visit or to help out with events. But making sure it's a pressure-free invitation. So some families may not choose to or be able to come in, and that is okay. Which leads us to, there really is no right way to engage. Family engagement will vary based on each family's views, times, preferences, culture, and based on your own program's logistics. But our role as educators is to create an environment and build relationships that are filled with warmth, respect, and sensitivity for each family's views, strengths, and needs. It's important to ensure families feel comfortable and welcome to advocate for and participate in their child's education as they see fit. All right. A second way to build this foundational relationship is by having open lines of communication. So, we want to keep families in the loop about what's happening in our classrooms and share really high quality strategies and resources with them. You could share resources about what you're doing to support their child and their behavior in the classroom and things that they can choose to try at home. We want to be thoughtful about individualizing, what you send home to not overwhelm or discourage families. I don't know about you, but like if I get 1,000 links or pieces of paper from the school, it makes me feel overwhelmed, like it's just too big to handle, and there's a chance I'm going to just shut the computer or walk away. So try to send resources that are specific to their child or things that they've asked you about. I think most importantly is to share positives. So, especially for families that you may need to contact from time to time about challenges, every single child has positive moments in the classroom. It may not always feel like that's true, but it is. So we've got to find them and share them. We need to make sure that challenging times aren't the only time a family hears our voice or sees a message from us. It'll go so far in helping them trust and engage with you to handle difficult times if you've established already that like you care about, support, and enjoy their child. I remember calling a mom once and it was, early in the year and I could just tell from like I could hear it in her voice that she saw the program's number come up on her ID and was like bracing herself for something negative. And when I told her that I was just calling to share something wonderful that her son had done that day, I could hear like such relief and joy and surprise in her voice. And there were times throughout the year that I did have to call her for help around, some challenging behaviors and supporting positive ones. But when I did so, she knew that I also already saw the positives and I was in their corner. So finally, partnering with families is a two-way street. So this means that information should flow from us to the family, and input from the family should be sought out and welcomed. You, of course, absolutely have very valuable information to share with families, but they also have valuable and unique perspectives, information, and experiences to share with you as well. So it's really important to ask for their ideas and their feedback and be responsive to what they choose to share or not to share. Sometimes this can mean taking a moment and evaluating our own beliefs and perspectives so we can be open to their ideas and feedback. Or it can just mean just truly listening to them as they give us insights about why their child may be behaving a certain way or what they need. And when we need to discuss and make plans, discuss something challenging or make plans for positive behavior, we need to do so without any hint of judgment or shame or blame. We've got to put ourselves in the shoes of a parent or a caregiver who is hearing that their child is struggling. All families want what's best for their child. We don't know what people are handling in their lives or what they feel like when they get that phone call or that note. So we need to just focus on letting them know we're in this together. We are there to support their child and we value their expertise and their ideas. And then we offer to work together to make a plan for their child together. So again, we all know, I know from my own personal experience with 3 kids and a couple jobs, that families are often busy and overwhelmed and stretched thin. So when we think about engaging families, sharing resources is a great way to support skill development at home. And we need to be thoughtful and intentional about what that looks like in order to make it impactful. So when thinking about resources, we also know like class style interactions are not only impactful when implemented within the 4 walls of your classroom settings. When family members or other caregivers understand the power of effective interactions, the consistency of quality interactions across the home and school settings can only help children in their development and build on their skills and that children are practicing at school and support of those positive behaviors. So today we're going to focus in on one resource designed to share information about effective interactions across home and school settings. I love it. It's called the ECE Resource Hub. So we at Castle, we developed the ECE Resource Hub in collaboration with the Virginia Department of Education. So it's a collection of high quality professional development resources to help educators and families foster children's development and promote opportunities for every child. So a lot of the resources are things that we did develop in-house, or some are part of the Stream of 3 curriculum, but a lot of them are also just vetted resources from external trusted sources that we've tried to pull all together into a framework to share. And these amazing resources, there's videos and activities and strategies, and the best thing about them is that they are free to use and they're publicly available with no login necessary. All right, so though today we're focusing on regulate, which is that orange triangle icon up on the screen there, and supporting children's emotion, attention, and behavior. As you can see, the ECE Resource Hub has even more resources to support across all these core skills that children need to thrive. So the hub explores what they look like and how you can support their development with your everyday interactions. The hub is organized by those core skills, by strategies and book collections. And I'm going to pass it back to Caitlin to dive in deeper to these resources that I love so much, and I hope you do as well.
Thank you, Kate. I do as well too. But hopefully everybody else on the line is excited to check them out with us today. And we are going to just poke around on the hub together to find resources for supporting children's positive behaviors. And first, we are going to take a look at some regulate resources, again, that orange triangle, for supporting children's behavior in the classroom. Again, this is at the ECE Resource Hub, which is at eceresourcehub.org. So it's pretty easy to remember. Hopefully you'll bookmark it and visit it frequently. But I'm going to launch here some navigation and show you that once we're on the homepage of the ECE Resource Hub, first we're going to click Core Skills in the navigation tab. And here is where you can explore what the core skills look like, how you can support them through interactions. And today we're going to scroll all the way down until we see regulate, hit explore, and it will open up a regulate page where we'll see a few topics we can focus in on. And we're going to dig deeper on supporting children's behavior here. There's infant toddler, but we're going to click into preschool for today. And on all of these pages, you'll see that there is kind of like an at a glance, short and super sweet description of what the skill is. So for supporting children's behavior, you will see here that it says children are supported to manage their behavior when they know what to expect, their needs are met, and they are valued for who they are. And adults can help by establishing consistent routines and clear expectations. And when they're aware of children's needs, adults can meet them where they are and provide support. And then children can develop the skills that they need to be aware of and manage their behavior. And when adults focus on the behaviors that help children to succeed, they are, of course, more likely to occur. And it's also important, of course, for children to be actively engaged and have a say in their daily lives. So there's that at a glance description, but below the descriptions, you'll find there is that link to a PDF to get to know this skill with a little bit more in-depth information for you to dig into if you so choose. And then on the page, I love the what it looks like videos. As we scroll down, you'll see they are usually less than a minute long, just exemplar videos of high quality interactions. And we can click into one of the videos, cues and transitions together. And it says cues help children know what to do without needing a lengthy verbal explanation. So use cues such as songs or lights to prompt or remind children about what they should be doing and how they should be doing it. So in the clip that's running here on the screen, It will have audio when you check it out on your own time, but here you'll see that it's just a great example of an educator guiding her children to freeze and transition out of center time and into cleanup time. And then as we scroll, you'll find links to a few strategies, including cues and visuals there. And then we'll keep scrolling to see a few books that will support positive behavior with lesson plans linked and read aloud versions. There you'll see available in English and in Spanish. And then last, as we scroll further, you'll find our quick and easy activity cards that you can click into. You can download them. There's one activity there, the freeze, which is very similar to that, what it looks like video we watched, just like that focus, but you could make it a little game. And so the card just gives tips on what to do and what to say, including to narrate and label managing behaviors. So you could say, I see you holding your body very still, to encourage that positive behavior. So we just took a look at one of the Hub's core skills resources for educators, but as the Hub was being developed for educators, the team said, hey, how great would it be if educators could also easily access shareable resources for caregivers, where they could just copy and paste a link and send it home to truly partner with families on those aligned interactions to support whatever skill it is you're working on with a child or with all the children in your classroom. And so the take-home strategies were born, and this really truly is where the magic happens. These are my favorite. These take-home strategies are so wonderful, and they just include really thoughtful information and resources that promote interactions of warmth, respect, and sensitivity to each family's needs, background, and culture. And they were just designed truly with families in mind and provide that just right amount of information without overwhelm, and just easy activities to really make the partnership as seamless and positive and meaningful as can be. So we're going to take a look at a take-home strategy page together. And this one will be, of course, with a focus on partnering with families to support children's behavior. And to get to the take-home strategies, you are going to click into the strategy library in the top navigation. And then once that opens, you can scroll down to those red tennis shoes and click View Strategies. And when we click into the take-home strategies, you will see a whole bunch of strategies listed. When it loads, there we go. On this page for you to explore and you to share widely. There's so much good stuff in here, tons and tons and tons of resources for caregivers. But for today, again, we're focusing on that orange regulate triangle. So we're going to click into supporting behaviors. And here we are, supporting behaviors at home. So again, similarly to the classroom version, you'll see a super short family-friendly definition on what it is. So for this one, it says children communicate and express themselves through behavior. Best way to support positive behavior is to focus on child's attention on what to do and what you want to see instead of what not to do. And then as they engage in different types of behaviors, try to think about the why they are doing what they're doing. And once you know the why, you can help your child find positive ways to communicate with others. And then as we scroll down, you are going to see the activity choice boards, which are easy and family-friendly ways to support behaviors at home. We just love how fun they are when they flip over, when you hover over each one. And so fast and slow is an example there. There's a few of them, but with fast and slow, families could sing songs or play games where children move their bodies fast and slow and talk about and narrate how they are controlling their bodies. And then the quick cues are great, just like 3 super simple ways to support what it can sound like. So noticing positive behaviors can sound like, wow, thank you so much for helping clean up dinner. And then last are the book recommendations with linked lesson plans again. So families could see how teachers might be using it in the school, which is super helpful and interesting, along with those YouTube versions in English and in Spanish if folks don't have hard copies of books at home. And then also in the hub, I just wanted to spotlight too that you can navigate to, if you want more of that book goodness we saw at the end of that page, you can navigate directly to book collections to see even more book ideas to partner with families. And the book collections are also a personal favorite of mine. So as we scroll through the core skills and down to regulate there, you'll see that there is an entire section on supporting emotions and behaviors through books. And then there's just other great book recommendations for supporting all the rest of the core skills as well. And today, I know for the sake of time, it was just a small glimpse at the free resources you can access anytime through the ECE Resource Hub. But there are tons and tons and tons of great things to explore on the hub. So please bookmark eceresourcehub.org and share it widely with your colleagues or staff or families. And to circle back to my little Wade, my son, who again was really struggling to regulate and really needing a whole lot of support just about a year ago. I have to share with you that he graduated preschool yesterday. I just popped this picture in this morning because this literally happened yesterday. His little cap and his gown. He's smiling. He's so happy, adorable, and he's ready for kindergarten. So kind of in summary, by the end of the year this year, I would say he was regulating with ease. And basically 0 calls home or incident reports or drained teachers or administrators. And it really is because the teachers and the administrators and I all partnered together as true partners. They saw me as a true partner, being Wade's mother. And we really just had that trust and respect that was built in at such a foundational level before this occurred, and we were able to really work through this challenging time as partners. And as one of the tools that we used to support the work, we actually used the ECE Resource Hub, which is so funny because it's obviously a part of my work and a part of my day-to-day. But there's nothing more humbling than having your own child, even despite years and years of classroom experience teaching. I was going to the ECE Resource Hub to really think through how to best support my son at home. And this was actually even before the take-home strategies had launched. So we were just using the classroom version. And since the take-home strategies have launched, it's an even better resource to really partner with families and share ideas back and forth. So with sharing that, the ideas to really align our language and our interactions so that Wade truly knew what to expect and had those consistent environments. So I shared what I thought was going to be what was working best at home. They really valued my insight and input. And then they shared back what they were going to try at school. And I really valued their insight and input. And we just went back and forth and we buckled up and we did that for probably a solid 3 to 6 months to really figure out what was going on and how to best support him. And he made it. And you can really tell in Wade's day-to-day behavior that he's just so much more happy and relaxed and at ease. He has the tools and skills he needed to help him regulate those big emotions that he was confronted with. And he actually had just some big emotions a couple of months ago that I had to share that I was trying to finish up some work on my computer, just MacBooking away. And he really wanted to do some sidewalk chalk. It was right when the weather got nice outside and he was ready to go play in some spring fresh air. And so I told him I had to finish up my work, but he could go start out on the balcony without me. And then I would join him as soon as I possibly could. And he did not like this response. So he was huffy and puffy and angry. He kind of crossed his arms and he walked outside and marched away. And a little while later, it was quiet for a little while, and I finished up my work. And a little while later, he popped in and I was done. And so we went down to the sidewalk and he was happy and regulated and excited to play. So a total flip. He was able to process those emotions and work through it. On the next day, I walked out on the balcony. I didn't go that same day for whatever reason. And only on the next day did I walk out and realize that while he was out there, he had drawn a giant, beyond life-size stick figure of himself and only for himself, that he didn't even show me in that moment. But it's a little hard to read, but if you look very closely, you can see it says in his spelling, "This is how I feel." He did not throw chairs. He did not flip furniture. He did not have a mega meltdown or yell or cry or throw Cheerios or stomp them into the rug. He drew a picture and it was only for himself. He didn't even show me, but he was working through really recognizing his emotions. He was feeling so sad, as you can see there, and working through it to really get past it and be able to move on in a positive way. And then just one other small anecdote about this transformation with regulation is that at the end of his preschool year, he was in a mixed age classroom with some younger kids, and I went to pick him up one day, and the administrators told me that they overheard him having a conversation with a little guy who was a little bit younger than him, who was having a really hard time working through some regulation skills. And they overheard Wade saying to him something like, I used to have a really hard time too, but now I'm really keeping it together. And it was just like, I got this, you got this too. And I think at the heart of that comment and at the heart of it all is just that regulation is a learning experience that takes time. It evolves every day and it requires a whole lot of support and encouragement and collaboration. So just like Wade, you got this. And now you have an extra tool in your toolbox with the ECE Resource Hub to really support you on your journey. And to close us out, I am going to kick it back over to Tara.
Thanks, Caitlin. It doesn't matter how many times I hear that story, I get goosebumps every single time. And like Kate, we're all big fans of Wade since we've known him so long. And I think about his transformation and how that is something that can happen with all children if they have that kind of support. So I just take a deep breath. I just love that story. So again, all the amazing work on the Hub would not have been possible without our partnership with the Virginia Department of Education. So we want to just give them a big shout out because they have really been very helpful in this development of this tool that we can share with all of you for free. And I can't tell you how many hours I spend on the Hub. I think it stays open on my computer most of the time. It's my go-to, like, okay, let's go look at it. Let's see it. Let's find some more resources. It's just so easy. And I always like to say it's bite-sized PD. It's not overwhelming. So I do love the Hub for that reason. So we're excited to inspire you in your interactions with young children. And our email newsletter goes out about once a month. It highlights activities, book strategies, and other professional development resources you can use right away. Occasionally, we send out additional emails to highlight major updates. We promise never to spam your inbox or sell your information. So we do encourage you to sign up. You can use the QR code that's on the screen, or you can go to the website, ECEresourcehub.org. I did put that in the chat, and I'm happy to put that in there again for you. And then you click on the subscribe from the banner and you can get that newsletter for as many times you like and share it with your staff or other constituents, other people who are in your program that support your families and your teachers. It's a wonderful resource, and it's nice to know that everything that's on there, you don't have to go back and figure out, well, is that really? Is it, can I look for it somewhere else? It's all right where you need it. It takes less time to use it that way. And also, if you're curious, there is a comprehensive birth through 5 curriculum also developed by the same experts on the Hub at UVA. It's called Stream in 3. And Stream in 3 is closely aligned with the ECE Resource Hub. It focuses on development of the same core skills and those integrated intentional interactions that you see in the in 3 of the name. Stream in 3 also has tons of great family engagement, support, and resources. feel free to check out the website at www.streamin3.org and reach out if you're curious and want to learn more. We can also put that in the chat if that's something you're interested in. We hope that you'd look into all of the resources that are shared today. And we really appreciate your commitment to helping young children thrive. It really is something we have to reach out for. We have to reach across the aisle and help families join in and help families feel supported, because raising children is not easy. It takes a whole village, and we're part of that village, 100% of it. So Kate made a big point saying, make people feel welcome and included. And I think that's the best piece of advice I could say. If you have questions, you can feel free to reach out to us through our emails that are posted on the screen there. And if you have additional questions, I think we have some time for that. And we'll go from there.
I'll also share one last thing too that didn't make it onto this slide, but we share ECE Resource Hub information through the Streamin3 Instagram account. And so there's lots of great updates and reminders that you'll find there if you're interested in following us on social media. So it's Streamin3 Curriculum is our Instagram handle, and we'd love for you to follow along and get fun updates and reminders, and kind of like Tara said, that bite-sized PD and little nuggets of information that can help you in your partnerships with families and help children with their development of the core skills.
Thank you all so much. I know so many people are already chiming in with their thank yous. Before you all leave, please ask questions in that Q&A. We do have some time, and we obviously have some experts on the call here. And so if you have questions, please chat them in. A few Teachstone shout outs. We'd love for you to stay in touch. We have our class learning community. We recommend everybody joining. It's free access. You can share what you've learned here and what you're going to try in your own programs. For those of you who joined late, we are recording. If you missed anything, you can watch it tomorrow. We'll email out the recording to anyone who registered. We will also include in that link to the recording the slides and any links mentioned, any resources mentioned. And a shout out for those of you who are unfortunately maybe already thinking about back to school time. We have a back to school event coming up. There's 5 days, 25 sessions. There's a track for everyone. A quick glance at what our schedule looks like. And so a couple sessions about behavior always, but certainly something for everyone. And so I'll send a link out around that as well. And I don't see any questions. I think you maybe have answered everybody's thoughts. Before
Liz, I do see one about whether you can print without limits. Anything that is on the ECE Resource Hub, there are, downloadable book activities and things like that. There's also, if you're wanting to lead a professional development center or have one, there'll be a webinar or maybe a slightly longer video, and then there's guiding questions to kind of help you facilitate that. All of that, anything that you see on there is free, and we highly encourage you to print and use. There's all kinds of anything. Yes, print away.
Anyone who's been in a classroom loves to hear that. Print away is the right answer. Oh, thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I think the story certainly resonated with everyone. I think the only question maybe I have, if you are listening in as a leader and you are more supporting educators and supporting coaches, do you guys have the one takeaway, the one thing they could try tomorrow to encourage that stronger family partnership in their program?
Who's going?
All right, I saw you come off mute.
Yeah, I would say invest in building relationships. That is the key. It's the foundation to success with the students. It's the foundation to success with the families. Really get to know people. It doesn't mean you have to be all in their business. It just means you have to show genuine care for them, show interest in what they're interested in, engage in a little social conversation every now and then. That's a big thing. just, I think, just show that you really care. And that way, when the good things come up, it makes sense. And when the challenging things come up, they're going to be able to hear you from the heart.
Yeah, I loved the story. I think Megan shared that the parent said it was the first sort of positive feedback. I think Caitlin, I had a very similar son to yours. I felt that very deeply. No one who was in the classroom wants to hear that their child is the one. It's a tough call, but it's so nice to hear those nice stories as well.
It is. It's in the
I
world. Yeah.
just dropped in the chat. I'm going to do it again. We do have a quick 3-question survey from Teachstone. We'd love to hear what you thought about this event and what other types of sessions you might want to hear. We asked this group to join us because we loved their session so much at our Interact Class Summit that we wanted everybody to hear, and not just those who were able to attend Interact. And so as we build out our webinar schedule for the year and look for sessions for our upcoming Interact Summit, we'd love to get feedback from you of what types of topics and pain points you all have in your day. Any other last questions? Any last parting words?
Well, if we have a few minutes, I just want to piggyback on what Tara was saying about the one thing that you can do. And I think that there's so many things and there's so many resources, and are we going to find this magic thing that is like this one strategy is going to change everything? And that's likely not true, but I think if there was one powerful thing to do is to take a moment and reflect on whether you are in a cycle that you don't want to be in with a family member or a family or a child. And I think we are all human, we all do this, but we can sometimes get caught in a negative cycle where there's a challenging behavior and then there's feelings from both sides around those challenging behaviors, but it actually ends up just perpetuating the challenging behaviors, and we just get caught in this loop. And we all notice negative things naturally a bit more than the positive ones. And maybe this doesn't resonate with you, and that is fine. But if you are finding yourself caught in that cycle, I think just being aware and kind of taking a breath and being like, okay, I'm going to step away from this, find that positive, try something. So I just think it's important to acknowledge a natural human thing that we do is get caught in those things in our regular lives and with children and with teaching, and give ourselves grace, but take a moment and reflect and feel does this feel like a really negative interaction that is happening? Am I caught in that cycle and trying to step out of it?
I think grace goes both ways, giving that family grace too, because if it's difficult for you, it's difficult for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I love the comment that just came in. On the day when you feel you have nothing positive to say, share what play the child enjoyed with the parents.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Again, as the parent who every day at daycare pickup was the here's what was hard about today. That can be really hard as a parent.
Yes.
Would love to hear.
I don't know anybody who feels in my life or my work or anywhere, I don't know anyone who's I am rocking this parenting thing, easy peasy, we all, I think it's a pretty universal, am I doing it right? Am I doing everything I can? What am I messing up? And oh my gosh, my kid's struggling. Is it somehow my fault? And, I think that just that grace. I don't know anybody who isn't having some of those feelings. And if they are, that more power to them. But, I think just having that grace that, that parent is coming in, and even if they might seem not super receptive immediately to the strategies or the feedback, sometimes that can be coming from a place of oh my gosh, no, am I doing it right? And so we just gotta, when you have that relationship, you're able to have those conversations in a way that doesn't trigger that thing within us, within many parents, that is the fear of messing it up, just having that empathy and listening and grace.
And every parent just wants to know that their kid is loved and there's someone that they're spending their day with that cares about them. And if all you hear are the crushed Cheerios, you don't feel like they're really seeing the good in your child as well. Active listening, empathy. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. And we're all exhausted.
Exactly. Yeah. Walk in the day.
Everyone's doing the best they can. Do you have a, I heard the like start out with the strength, start out with the positive, but let's say, you're 6 months in and you've sort of that ship has sort of sailed, you've missed that opportunity. Is there a moment or is there a strategy you have of like acknowledging that maybe you're in that loop, that pattern that you don't love and breaking it? Do you have a like how to start a new pattern tip?
Yeah, I'll try, and then Tara, Caitlin, please jump in. But I mean, I tend to think like a repair conversation doesn't have to be like a big drawn out, this are all the things that I did wrong, or making it awkward, or making it worse than it was. I think just asking the parent to talk with you at a time that is comfortable for them, right? Like I really don't love the like grabbing someone at the end of the day. And I know that sometimes that's the only time we see them, but if you think about that person just came from their job or, whatever it is, and then the kid hears you saying, can hear the thing that you're saying, and the other parent or somebody, and it just isn't the greatest. So I'd say just scheduling a time to talk and just, saying, hey, these are some things that we've been struggling with throughout the year. Pause at that and just say some really nice things about their child, like just break it in that way, say some nice things about their child, and then just really listen, like what has your experience been, in at home or in the classroom, and these are some goals that I'd like to support your child in developing these skills. We know that they're skills. We know this is not like a good or a bad child. There's no such thing. It is, skills that they still need to develop. And like, let's work on this together. What's the best way for us to communicate? I think you don't have to have a big, or in my personal opinion, I don't think you have to have a big, like, this has been a bad struggle. I think it's more just recognizing it in yourself and then like breaking it by being positive, doing active listening, and having empathy, and seeking out those interactions. Just making sure to be positive.
Thank you. I saw in the chat, anonymous said we often sandwich communication using positive and then what happened today, and then end the convo with more positive. But the question, tips on how to express to families if there's maybe a disconnect in what they're seeing in school versus what they're seeing at home. We certainly know that sometimes it goes the other way. I always, as a teacher, often had parents who were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's," woof. I'm like, "Oh, she's a dream at school." So yeah, how do you address that sort of disconnect if there is one?
Tara, you go.
I was answering the chat.
I can do it too, whatever you want.
That's all right. I was just someone said sometimes it's hard to talk to families, and I agree. It's very hard to talk to families, but it's really based on that relationship piece. So I'm sorry I didn't hear the complete question because I was referring to the chat. So
I put you on the spot. I apologize. She's
right.
she's asking about when families are saying that they aren't seeing the behavior at home
Yeah.
that you're seeing at school. I know you've dealt with this a lot.
We deal with a lot, and children are situational. Things are different at home. Maybe they have one or two siblings or no siblings at home, and then in a classroom there's 24 siblings, and they can be different in a different situation. I think it's important to acknowledge when families say that and not discount it or become defensive and say, well, they act like that here, it has to be happening at home. It's good not to be defensive, but maybe ask the parent, what are you seeing at home? What do you see when they're around other children on the playground? Tell me your experience when they're in a group environment. And then you have a place to build upon versus comparing home to school.
Agreed. And like expectations at school are not always going to be the same at home, right? So like roughhousing might be completely, fine at home, but it's not going to fly in the classroom. Yeah.
That's probably
Caitlin,
the hardest one.
I was thinking exactly that. My son is very physical, and he is all over everybody, all over the place when he is home or, at the local neighborhood playground. But the expectation is just so very different in a school setting, and understandably so. So his behavior, of course, will be different. But I think it's really important, like you said, Tara, to not discount what family members are saying, because it very well could be, and it likely is true that, children are just different in different environments. But I love to thinking, and this came up a lot with my son, but I remember in my classroom teaching days that, it's not like the teachers are saying, Wade was on one today all day long. He was a giant nightmare and what a mess, and all, constant, couldn't quit all day long. They really emphasized and made it a point to say, he had some challenging moments, and we all have challenging moments. In my day, I've had challenging moments. Doesn't mean it was the worst day of my life or that I've, had a horrible day, but we all have challenging moments. And I think that that slight reframe really helps to connect with families that we all have challenging moments, and that's just what kids are working through too.
I love your Megan's comment. You're the expert on your child. Tell me about and maybe they do have a this is my tip, my trick for getting them out of the funk that they're in, or here's how,
tell us the magic. Let us tell us what's working. Yeah.
What works for you? I always ask parents, what works for you?
Love it.
There's some really great suggestions in the chat from some of the people who are attending as well. They're very engaging. So I just encourage people to take some time to read through those, because there's more than just us experts here today.
For sure.
Wonderful. All right, well, I'm going to put that survey in one more time. And again, for anyone that didn't catch it before, we will send out an email. In that email tomorrow, you will get the recording. The landing page that has the recording will also have the slides, have a link to any of the resources mentioned here. We'll have a downloadable certificate of attendance and a handful of other resources we recommend. And please share any questions you have. Hopefully join us in the class community, and maybe you'll see this lovely crew if you attend Interact again next year. And thank you all so much. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great week.